Pie and a pint. Pie and a pint. Pie and a pint. Pie and a pint.
Welcome back to Pint Podcast, and it is the big one. Warren Barton is joining us, so let's get straight into it. Hi, Warren, you all right?
Hey, you all right?
Hi guys, how are you?
Good, thank you. Are you?
Yeah, good.
How is it in California?
Sunny.
Sunny as well.
70 degrees and sunny. It's been like that for the last about 25 years. But yeah, no, it's we've had one day where we've had a little bit of rain, but other than that, it's good. Hence the reason why I moved.
Yeah.
It's dark and miserable here, so...
Looking out my window right now, it's just begun throwing it down, and it's absolutely Baltic, isn't it?
Well, I'm going to go for a walk on the beach later, so I'll think of you.
Oh, no. Stop it.
We're not jealous, I promise. So, starting out at Maidstone United in 1989, at that time we was in the 4th division. How did you get into the game and becoming a professional footballer for Maidstone?
I think like most people or most young people growing up in England and Britain, I played over the park with my brother, with my sibling. I had an older brother, John, who's 4 years older than me. Even at the age of 5 or 6, we used to go over the park and play 1v1. Got into, Sunday football, school, district, county, etc., and then went into academy as it is now. Got told twice I was too small, not going to make it. Played for Leyton Orient when the old, it used to look a bit too young, but it was the old YTS scheme, £27.50 a week when it first started in the mid-80s, and that gave me the chance to be at Leyton Orient. They then let me go and said I'm too small. So I went down the bottom of my road and played non-league football for Leytonstone Ilford. Was there about a year. And then got the move to Maidstone, who had just been in the non-league, but then promoted into to the Football League. And it was a great time for me. Keith Peacock and the old West Ham defender, Tommy Taylor, was in charge at the time. Just getting into the Football League as well. There, we were travelling to games on British Rail, wearing our blazers and grey flannels and trying to look smart and professional. And that's all I ever wanted to do, was be a professional footballer. That's all I knew, to be honest with you. I got told at school, secondary school, look, you're not doing a lot, so you may as well go and play football somewhere. So I took up a little bit of bricklaying course as well. And I don't know whether you've seen the article. I worked in a chartered accountant for a year while I was playing non-league football, Arthur Anderson's, and I just kept going. That's all I wanted to do. And whether it was non-league and then have the opportunity to play in the Football League, to be a professional, that was my dream. That was my focus. And as I said, I had an older brother that we used to go and play and going over the park. And I was always Brian Robson and he was Liam Brady. And we'd go out there and play. And so he, put me in that direction. But, like millions and millions of people, we'd play Sunday football and play with your mates over the park until it was dark. And even then, you just even kept on going. So, playing as a professional and getting paid for something you love doing, it's something that I think I carried right away throughout my career, because I do realise how lucky I was. And it does take a little bit of luck, but getting that chance at Maidstone was brilliant for me. And it was something that I really cherished. And we had a great time, made the playoffs, lost to Cambridge United, where Big Dion Dublin was playing, actually. And him and myself moved reasonably at the same time from lower league up into, if you like, the big league, the Premier League as it is now.
Yeah. So from Maidstone, actually, you did move to sort of Wimbledon, known as the Crazy Gang. What was it like playing with players like Vinnie Jones and sort of them guys?
Oh, it was boring. It wasn't fun at all. Going back to the non-league scene where I played with Dagenham and Redbridge, being in a changing room with, a policeman, a builder, an electrician, a plumber, and if you lose the game for £5, you was going to know about it. So that gave me a little bit of character. And then the same with the lower league players. For us to go and win a game was to, the bonus was to look after our families for the weekend. So it gave me good grounding and upbringing, and also the way I've been brought up. With as I said, with my brother, my mum, and my sister. We've had to work for everything. Nothing was given to us. And then going into Wimbledon, they have that mentality that they'd come from the lower leagues, and we'd always kept that sort of focus and grounding, and particularly the likes of Vinnie Jones, John Fashanu. But we'd also had a Keith Curl, a Terry Phelan, John Scales, myself, that had gone on to play for arguably some of the biggest clubs, Liverpool, Newcastle, Manchester City. So they had that conveyor belt of young players. But there was one instance, and I learnt pretty quickly, and it was actually John Fashanu, not Vinnie Jones, that we played a game against Derby, and it sort of kicked off a little bit in midfield as it normally did. And I went running in, just in sort of being pacifizer, just separating the players. And Big John come over and he nearly broke my arm, pushed my arm down and went after their player. So as I'm walking in the tunnel, and as I said, we was doing reasonably well at the time, he grabbed me around the neck and took me into the change. I thought, oh my God, I'm going to get smashed to pulp here. He's going to kill me. He just said, don't ever do that again. And I said, well, what do you mean? He went, don't ever split it up. It's us always against them. That's our mentality. Whatever we need to do, we stick together. And that was one thing that's hit home to me pretty early. As I said, I think it was the second or third game in my time there. And that mentality. And Arsenal, if you remember way back with Tony Adams and Steve Bold and Winterburn, they'd all go running over Patrick Vieira, and then obviously Man United with Roy Keane and Beckham and Rio and all of us. It sort of, amalgamated from sticking together. And it was us against them. And we maybe didn't have the mentality or the skill, but we certainly have that togetherness. And my 5 years at Wimbledon, we always finished in the top 8, 7 in the league. So it was a good time and great people. We could never get away with it now. Quick story with Richard Keys when Sky was really coming to the forefront. We was at Selhurst Park. We'd gone away from Plough Lane, which is another story, what we used to do to people's coffee and sugar and in the changing rooms as well. So that's a whole nother story. But Richard Keys was doing a before the game interview going along our tunnel. And anyone that's been to Selhurst Park, it still hasn't changed now. It's very, very narrow. So Richard has gone on and he's done a rehearsal while we're warming up. And we're thinking, it can't be that naive, because it goes the away team change room, the referees, and then before you go out into the tunnel, it's the home team, which was at the time Wimbledon. We was playing someone like Man City on a Monday night or whatever it was. So he's done the rehearsal. So all we're now talking, getting warmed up for a big game on a Monday night, is what we're going to do to Richie Keys. So we're thinking, okay, fine. And you can imagine all the things that are going to happen. So it goes, and it comes back in again, and we're thinking, Joking here is trying to do a team talk, and Ray Hartford, they're trying to get us ready for the game. But all the lads are having a look at the physio, the trainer, saying, he's just doing the live hit now. He's going to come down the tunnel. So in that, he's walking down, and here we are on a Monday night. We have the Man City change room here, the grand pole, the referee here, and the crazy game. And we've got our music going and blaring. As he's gone like that, the crazy game, we've grabbed his arm, pulled him into the changing room, roughed up all his hair, and he loves being immaculate, Richard. We've mussed up his hair, we've cut his tie, ripped his shirt, ripped his jacket, thrown him back out. And the professional Richard he's still kept going about, and here we are with the crazy game. But no, we're in the stitches, and then we're going out 5 minutes later to go and play a Premier League game live on a Monday night. But our main focus for that day was about getting Richard Keys, strapping him up, cutting his tie, ripping his shirt and suit, and throwing him back out into the corridor. We went on, and obviously I think we won the game. But that was the things that we would do. Another quick story about the crazy gang, and I just got into the England setup, and things was going well. At the time, you'd get a fax that come through. So Joe Kinnear or Ray Hartford, whoever it would be at the time, Terry Phelan had been selected for Ireland and Warren had been selected for England, and good luck to him. So we train and go back. So I'm thinking the lads are going to do something to me. So I go to my car at the end of it. It was just a little Golf. It was a GTI, but it was actually a GT. I couldn't afford the I. So just a GT. All my tyres are slashed. So I'm like, hey, come on, boys, I've got no money. Can someone help me out? So you go straight to Vinnie or Fash. Have you got any money for the tyres? And, it's out of order, but I take it on the chin, and that's part of what we do. Lo and behold, I didn't know it was the owner, Sam Aman, that actually slashed my tyres. So it wasn't one of the players or Vinnie or Fash or anyone else. It was the bloody owner of the club that was one slashing all my tyres. That was the way of saying, keep your feet grounded and you're not going to go anywhere. So, John Hartson come, we set his clothes on fire. People used to cut their clothes up if they was just like, even if you just got a man of the match, then we cut something up. But it was all part of it that we would do. And another quick story about, we had a very good player, Kenny Cunningham, lovely fella, but his wife run the house. She bought his suit, bought his clothes. She bought everything for him. So we cut his tie one game, he come into it. She went ballistic in the players' lounge at Vinnie. You're this, it's out of order. So we're all looking at ourselves, lads, we'll keep doing this. Don't worry. Next time, cut his tie, cut his shoes, cut his socks, go back in the players' lounge. She goes ballistic again. This went on for 3 weeks. Finally, Kenny come in with no socks on, just got on with it, just didn't worry about it, and said, okay, now she gets it. And she was like, okay, fine, I understand, and just got on with it. But it was great times. As I said, we couldn't get away with it. It's great that they're back at Player Lane now, AFC Wimbledon.
Yeah.
But it was a real time of going from that non-league to obviously what it is now, the Premier League, and playing with good players and having that opportunity to move on. So, but as you can tell, I loved every minute of it because it was so funny, and good job we never had Instagram or Twitter or phones at that time, because I wouldn't be here talking to you. I'd probably be locked up somewhere.
Moral of the story then: if you played for Wimbledon, definitely don't wear a tie. I think is the take.
Don't wear anything nice. Don't wear anything. If you value anything, don't wear it, because it ain't going to last long. It ain't going to last long.
Though. And you just, you don't get that. I don't think it's, like you say, social media probably dictates the level of personality and character players can have, because everything's so orchestrated by the club and trying to keep the profile slick and professional and everything. So it's nice to hear. And that never influenced, like you say, it never affected you on the pitch, because, you were so hard to beat. That I always compare Burnley, who are my club, similar style to Wimbledon. No offence intended by this, not necessarily pretty.
We might have played more football than you lot.
I've no doubt. You watched us the other night against Brighton. But do you know what I mean? It's that kind of. I think that there's a lack of respect sometimes, because you get results the way you can with the money available and everything like that. And like you say, consistent performance in the Premier League from your guys, it sometimes feels like you didn't get the respect you deserve, I don't think.
Yeah, and I don't, at the time, we didn't really care, because that was part of it. But that's what drove us on. Our biggest compliment is when Sir Alex Ferguson come down to Selhurst Park, and that famous Cantona goal with the yellow and green shirt, the volley that went in. He come out in his book and said, when we didn't get intimidated by Wimbledon, not Liverpool or Arsenal or Chelsea or whoever, I knew we'd win the title. So they come down, again, it was another Monday night, they come down, and the first tackle as well, that's on Insta. If you ever see it from Vinnie on Cantona, it was near his groin area. He's gone in to try and do it. They then stood up, and they had characters. I mean, Mark Hughes could look after himself, Steve Bruce, Dennis Irwin, Paul Ince. So we thought, we can't outplay them. We've got to try and get into them and get involved. And they stood up, whether it was Giggs, whoever, Lee Sharp, whoever we was playing against. And he said, once we knew we could do that, listen, we could play a little bit. We wasn't as bad as, but it was a big part of our game. If we couldn't get, we win a lot of games in the tunnel, against Coventry or Norwich or Southampton, whoever it was, we would win. But when Fergie said that was sort of a bit of a feather in our cap, because, we would do everything. We didn't have the players and the ability, but togetherness can take you. I mean, look what Leicester did, spirit and togetherness. And that's why you look at Liverpool and their social media, it's different now. But they're always doing something together. They're always having a bit of fun or a bit of banter. And whether it's from Mo Salah from Egypt or Henderson from Sunderland, there's something going on, or Van Dijk. So that shows you, well as their ability, that it can drive you on. And I think when you look at all successful teams, and not just teams that win trophies, you must have that togetherness and that respect for each other. Because I knew when I went over the line that they'd have my back. And, that's something. And Arsenal had that when they went forward. United team have had that backbone, and Chelsea had it with their players. We was never at that level, but we punched above our weight. And as I said, it come from the top. It come from the owner right the way through. And Vinnie and Fash policed it quite well, because no one was going to say anything to them too.
And then, so obviously from Wimbledon, you moved on. You did go to, at the time, right to the top level, to Newcastle, who were sort of challenging for the title, and obviously the Kevin Keegan, I'd love it if we beat them season. You're a big part of that. So how did your time differ there from Wimbledon? Was it any ties get cut?
No, but it still had that, because of the Geordie mentality with like Steve Howie, Steve Watson, Lee Clark, Robbie Elliott, and even Peter Beardsley, because he'd been brought up in that surroundings. It was about the team, but then you had some, world-class players, like obviously Ginola, Asprilla we had in the team. But from being at Wimbledon, which was being an established Premier League player, was about winning something then. As a boy growing up, it was never about the money. It was about playing in a cup final, playing for England, trying to win a trophy. That's what drove me on when I got told I was too small, you're not going to make it, going out for runs when it's pouring down with rain, trying to get there. So, when Kevin Keegan come knocking at the door, and there was a lot of links at the time, because John Scales had just gone to Liverpool the year before, and then it was like, who's the next one on the Wimbledon conveyor belt? And fortunately for me, I've been involved in the England setup with Terry Venables, getting ready for Euro 96. So I was in the shop window, and whether it was Sheffield Wednesday at the time, Everton, I'd actually was on the motorway going up to Blackburn to speak to Kenny Dalglish as well. Celtic was another one. Spoke to David Dean at Arsenal, but at the time they didn't have a manager. And it was a bank holiday Monday, and I'll never forget it. Alan Shearer had scored the winner for Blackburn, far post header against Newcastle. Quite ironic. And I went and met Kevin Keegan in a hotel, and his opening line was me. I'm sitting there with my agent. He said, come and join a big club. And I wasn't disappointed. You go there with the expectations. You looked around that changing room already. They had the likes of Rob Lee that was there, Steve Howie that was in the England setup, Barry Venison, who was coming to the end. And he was great with me, Venus, when I was with the England setup. We'd be there together. And he told me about the area, about the people, and about the club. Obviously, I'd play for a small club like Wimbledon in London, which, again, you could walk around very cosmopolitan. But up there, you're thrown in there into a goldfish bowl. And you either sink or swim. And, at that time, it was a record for a defender. Les Ferdinand come in as well. He was a good friend of mine with England, and he was at QPR. He come for $6 million. Shaka Hislop from Reading. And then, the final piece was hopefully going to be David Ginola coming from PSG. And, to go in that changing room with them quality players and that togetherness and that spirit, it's well documented, the nights out we would have together, and going for pasta, and there'd be like 22 players turning up. Me and Les would just say, we're going to go for something to eat locally, and there'd be 18, 20 of the lads there come and have something to eat. Not all boozing, but we'd come out and we all be together, have our food, and then get ready for training the next day. So that drove us on. And with him, Kevin, the style of football that he wanted, the fans, anyone that's ever been up to St James's Park, the atmosphere when it's rocking up there, it's arguably the best atmosphere in the world. And I'm biased, obviously. We'd go to Coventry, there'd be 7,000 fans there. We'd go to Blackburn. We was the first club to sell out behind the goal there at Ewood Park, and have people climbing at the rafters at home. There'd be 10,000 people on the waiting list. Our shirts would be coming out the Grandad collars. There'd be like 5,000 people at midnight at a club store trying to, do that. And just a quick example of the difference of clubs. At Wimbledon, we played Bolton on a Saturday afternoon. Me and Terry Gibson, the old Manchester United Tottenham player at Wimbledon, we counted how many people was at the stadium when we was getting warmed up. There was, I'll never forget, 456, I think it was. We was there counting. And so that was at the beforehand. We turned up. I mean, at the end, the game got 1,900. I think it's the record for the lowest attendance in the Premier League, Wimbledon, Bolton. We turned up for training the first day, me, Les, Ginola and Shaka. There was 5,500 people at the training ground watching us train. So I've gone from a Premier League game where there's only 1,900 or just under 2,000 to 5,000 people just to watch me train. So it was a magnificent club, a great club, obviously one that is still close to my heart. I had 8 years up there. I loved every minute of it. The only thing is that we didn't win it. We was points clear. We was 12. They had a game in hand. And I've always said it's not for me, but just for the club, for the city, for the people up there. That's the one thing we all regret. And whether I speak to Les, David, Shaka, whoever it is, that's the one thing that always hits home, that we never got over the finishing line. Great credit to United, although it pisses you off having to say it, but they beat us at home, the Cantona 1-0, and that was a big turning point because we battered them in the first half. Maybe in hindsight, it's a great thing, and said, look, at half time, let's not lose this game. But KK said, let's go and win him, let's go and show it. We got a sucker punch. And then Fergie started with the mind games, and Kevin being Kevin, bit into it with the Ellen Road. We'd love it if we beat them. Yeah. But we've just felt short, and they're winners, and unfortunately we wasn't. And that's sometimes the difference, that mental toughness and that doing what you've got to do to get over the finishing line. And we felt short. But the similar style of football and the players that I played with was phenomenal. If you told me it's 13 years of age is too small, and they're going to say, well, you're going to play in a cup final, you're going to play England, you're going to play with the likes of Ginola and Peter Beardsley and Gary Speed and Rob, these type of players week in, week out, Alan Shearer, Shay Given. It's a dream come true. So it was a privilege playing for the club, and I loved every minute of it, and it's obviously a big part of my life.
Absolutely.
Amazing.
And I think you mentioned about how, Kevin said, go out, let's win it, I think, in retrospect, I'm sure that eats him up, and obviously the players associated, I guess, in that maybe if you'd been a bit more, sterile, shall we say, and sat back. But I think I speak for most football fans when I say this. I'm not a Newcastle fan. None of us three are, and, you're still the team that's remembered from those years, ahead of United.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you a quick story as well. About February time, it was probably just before the United game, or maybe just after. And there was me, Peter Beardsley, who was the captain, and Les Ferdinand, who I got on. Obviously, it was a good friend of mine. We was having, after training, we were sitting there having a cup of tea. I was going to say coffee. We didn't drink coffee up there. It was all tea. And I said, do you think maybe we need to have a word with the gaffer, like have a meeting? Like, we just lost a little bit of momentum. And, what can we do to change it? And Peter went, he won't change. He'll either win it his way. And it's a bit like Pep at the moment. Pep, we all see sometimes the flaw at the back line and how he leaves himself isolated with his defenders, but he's going to win it his way. And that's how Kevin was with the fans. And he was never going to change. Kenny Dalglish come in a little bit later, about 18 months later, and changed it. And we managed to get in there. We finished second again. We got to a cup final when we got in the Champions League. But the fans didn't really enjoy what we was doing. And we'd win 1-0 at Highbury. We'd go 1-0 away at Blackburn. We'd win games 1-0. And we managed to finish, as I said, second, very similar. But Kevin was only going to do it that way. And we actually had a little chat, which arguably I would think the senior players, which would be Peter and Les, and he said he ain't going to chat. I mean, look at the 4-3 against Liverpool. Right. He was never, that was part of what the club was, the identity. Yeah, we're proud of it. But 25 years later, I'd love to have a medal. Not for me, but for the clubs. When I see Premier League and you see Leicester, Blackburn, and then you see Liverpool after 30 years, I would love it. I would love it. I'd love it if we'd had Newcastle up there. But it's lovely the time we had, and we talk about it, and the togetherness and the football and the city. When you used to go up there, the nightlife was crazy, and the apartments being built, the restaurants, the development. It was all part of that mid-90s of what we was doing. And, as I said, it was a wonderful, wonderful time in my life.
Amazing. Right, okay, we do with all of our guests, Warren, we have what we call a Pro 5 quiz, which is just 5 questions about your career. It's now named the Tommy Lee Pro 5 quiz because ex-Chesterfield goalkeeper Tommy Lee was the first to get the 5, so he got the naming right.
Wow. You didn't warn me about this.
No,
I thought you were going to ask me about Bobby Robson and things like that. Not give me a quiz. I told you I left school when I was 14.
It's all about you.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, I can't remember.
So yeah, it's nothing too serious.
No, I'm good. I'm good. I'm good for fun.
Number 1 is you made 277 Premier League appearances during spells at Wimbledon, Newcastle and Derby. For which of those clubs did you make the most Premier League appearances?
Wikipedia can be a little bit misleading as well. It is Wimbledon. It was Wimbledon that I made more of Premier League, but I'll give you it.
Was it? It was. It said Newcastle. I took that from the Premier League website, but I mean, you're right then, because I always thought it was Newcastle. Yeah, Premier League, because obviously some of my games, but they transferred. So I would always said Newcastle, but for some reason they carry the Football League one. So Premier League, okay. Premier League, yeah, you're right.
It is, but I would have said Newcastle. Yeah, but it's First Division / Premier League was Wimbledon, but I'll get a point for that, boys. I'll get a point for that. Surely, that's my mulligan. That's my mulligan.
Number 2, it was 162 for Newcastle, 101 for Wimbledon in the Premier League.
Okay.
Number 2, in your Premier League career, you scored 10 goals. Who did you score the most for? Again, took from the Premier League website, so it's their fault, not mine.
Now.
It's you got none for Derby. So
Yeah, I
it's
know that. Yeah, I know that. I scored a couple of own goals for them. Thanks for reminding me. I got a couple of own goals. That doesn't count. I think I only got 4 for Newcastle, so I'm going to go Wimbledon. And I played a bit of time in midfield there. So yeah.
6 for Wimbledon, 4 for Newcastle.
Good. Don't forget the own goal. Don't forget the own goals as well.
We're not including own goal.
I'll take them now.
Number 3, throughout your career, you made over 400 senior appearances. Which teammate did you play alongside on the most occasions? And we've got a choice of 3. So it's Rob Lee, B, Alan Shearer, or C, Hans Sagers.
Oh, I think it'd be Rob because I played Derby with him. I would have said Rob Lee.
Yeah,
Rob
188
Lee.
appearances with Rob Lee, 123 Hans Sagers.
Out of all of them games, he never bought me one drink. Don't ever go out for a beer with Rob Lee. This is a true story. When we was at Derby, we went into 3 rounds, and he still never bought it. It was only me and him in the bar. 3 rounds. It was unbelievable. And I was thinking, I'm going to count him here, but 3 drinks in, and he still never bought it. It's only me and him in there. So anyway, you have to get Rob Lee on it. Get Rob Lee on it. Ask him.
Well, we'll need your help with that. If you have a word with Rob, get him on. He can defend his
Get him on.
Right, okay. You're 3 for 3, Warren. Number 4, you made
Pressure's
the Champions League debut on September 17th, 1997. Against who?
Now, are you saying the debut was the group stage or to qualify? Can you clear it up, please?
It's a group stage match. It's a group stage match.
Group stage. Well, it would be Barcelona then.
Correct. 3-2 victory as well. That's not a bad one. Check their team. Rivaldo and
Figo.
Oh, no.
Figo was in there. Luis Enrique. Figo's in here somewhere. I got him in here. Luis Enrique got his shirt. Rivaldo, I couldn't get near him.
What was it like then playing against sort of legendary players like that?
In a rocking St James's as well, I imagine.
Yeah, I mean, it was not only being the Champions League, but you're playing against arguably one of the most famous clubs in the world, Barcelona, and then you put Rivaldo at the time that was in the top 5 players in the world, Figo, Luis Enrique, and Louis van Gaal was the coach. But we weren't a bad team as well. We had Tino Asprilla had that look in his eye. Keith Gillespie that night was on fire, and I think the atmosphere from the fans, and for that probably 70 minutes, we was unplayable, but we knew they would have a turnaround. And for the last 20 minutes, we was hanging on. Shea Given made some great saves, and there was a little bit of panicking at the end. But I think what we did in the first hour, 70 minutes, deserved to get through because it was just a special occasion. But yeah, a bit surreal. But you know, as I said, by that time I'd been playing enough, and you want to be playing against some of the best players. I've been playing against people like Giggs and Henri and Bergkamp, and then week in, week out. So you sort of get not blasé, but you want to play against the best. And Figo, obviously, arguably was one of the best. He actually got swapped over on the other side. They told him to swap over.
Can't get past Warren.
He go against Burford. He's easier. Can't get past Barton. I just kept on kicking it the Gillespie down the line, and he just kept crossing it. It's quite simple. People going about this football. It's easy. Just give it to someone who's quick, and they cross it. Not rocket science.
Amazing.
Right. Okay. Question 5 on the Pro 5 quiz. You played under 13 managers in your career, including caretakers. Can you name 5 of them?
Oh yeah, Ray Hartford, Peter Wiv, Joe Kinnear, Kevin Keegan, Kenny Dalglish, Ruud Gullit, which was a shambles, by the way, Bobby Robson, John Gregory, George Burley for a little bit, and obviously Keith Peacock at the beginning.
Yeah.
How many of them did I get sacked? How many of them? I think I definitely got Peter with the sack. Wimbledon. Rude. There was a conspiracy. We was trying to get him out from day one. No, just joking. It was. I think I named all of them. Did I miss anyone out?
There was a few. There was Ian Holloway, Stuart Murdoch.
Oh yeah. Stuart Murdoch, Ian Holloway,
and Mark Lillis. Mark
Lille. Yeah, he must have took over. Yeah, Mark Lillis must have took over for in between John Gregory. Yeah, Lille. Ian Holloway. He was crazy when I was at Cupid. I went there. I was 35, so I'd left Derby. George had come in and said, "Look, we're going to go in a different direction. We're going to move you on. So I said, fine, no problem. Went down to QPR. I was on about, I don't know, £110 a week because Ollie said, look, I can't afford you. I said, just want to play, just want to keep playing. So we played one game. I think we played Grimsby at the time in the old first division. They end up getting promoted, QPR. And he went, don't keep looking for the ball. I want you up and down like when we used to play against each other. I want you to keep going up and down. I said, Ollie, that was like 15 years ago. I said, I'm 35 years of age. I said, I can't do that. He went, oh, but just keep trying anyway. Just keep trying to run up there. I was like, okay, now, Ollie, give me a chance, will you? I'm nearly close to 40, not 21. But, Ollie was fun. Ollie was fun.
One more thing I wanted to touch on, Warren. We had a question.
No, can I just say, is this 5 for 5 then? Am I
That is
good?
5 for 5.
Yeah, I was about to say.
You might need to change it. You might need to change the name of it now. Barton's Banter. Barton's Banter or something like that. Banter. Get that one in there.
Yeah, I love that. We had a question on Instagram we put on there that you were coming on. And one of the questions, which I really want to know the answer to, as well, from Lee Crofts, he asked, he wanted to know the truth behind Tamori Ketspires' celebration when he scored against Bolton and went
it was
carried away.
It was like a volcano, Tamori. Passionate man. He's a Georgian, obviously, and how he's become a coach, I don't know. Can you imagine him on the sideline, Tamori, losing his rate, but he would throw everything at you. But very, very obviously passionate about his plan, and he'd come there and he'd been getting frustrated with Kenny Dalglish about not playing and not being involved and not getting the minutes he did, and he'd come on against, I think it was against Bolton, funny enough, and got the winner or the equaliser. I think by the way he celebrated, it would have been the winner. Then we knew that it was all coming out, the emotions and everything else. Virtually at the end of it, he was in tears of like emotion, like it was like a volcano. Everything was coming out of him. But what was the funniest, if you ever look at it, is that the fans, normally if you threw something into the fans at the end of the game, like this shirt or a training top, they keep it. They want to keep the top. But they obviously realised that we still had about another 12 minutes to go. So Tamuri gets the goal, taps it in. You think he'd scored the winner in the World Cup final. Then the boots, he couldn't get the boots off, first of all. They started to come off. He started kicking the board. And what made us laugh, the unbravest person ever was Faustino, was trying to calm him down. Where if you ever watched Faustino, he was never going to get hit in the face. He was like, don't hit me in the face. And Tamuri's arms are going, and Faustino's gone over there to stop it, but then realised that this fella's he's going ballistic. I'm not going to get hit in the face. I'm too good looking. So he's backed off. So we've all said, we're running over to him, but as we're doing, we're sort of laughing, saying, let him go, because he's losing it. He could end up being naked at the end of this. So he's trying to get the boots off. That can go. I mean, it could have hit a kid in the face. That goes flying in the crowd. He's getting his shirt. That goes in there. But like I said, we knew we still had about 10 minutes. So normally fans would keep it. They said, no, take it back. So someone gets it again and throws it back in there again. The shirt keeps going backwards and forwards because it's like, no, go on, take it back. They're throwing it back. Tamuri, we finally, calm him down. And Kenny was a shrewd man. I mean, Kenny, anyone that knows, Kenny don't like violence either. Yeah. So we've gone in, and Tamuri's still, back in there, F this, F that, going crazy. So we're going, go on, Tamuri. You know what the lads are like, go on, Tamuri, go on. Kenny went, said to Terry Mack, you do the team talk, I'm going in my office. So brave as a lion, Kenny slips in his office, lets Tamuri calm down, and we're, me, Al, and the senior players are going, all right, Tamuri, enough of that. It was only against Bolton. I mean, come on, it's not like against Man United or Arsenal or Liverpool. It's against Bolton. Settle down a little bit. So he gets together, and then Kenny opens the door sheepishly. But so we go, Gaffer, you're all right. He comes out going, well done, lads. Great result, blah, 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 blah. Walks off. So, funny story. So, but it was hilarious where the shirt keeps going backwards and forwards because it's like, no, you have it. Tamuri at this point still trying to rip something off. I don't know what he's got. He's probably got hardly clothes left, but he's trying to rip that off as well. But yeah, a lovely, lovely man, but as mad as a March hare anyway. But it was... Again, could never happen in the Premier League now. You couldn't do that. Someone would get VAR would get involved, and then it'd be chaos. The FA would sue him, the Premier League would sue him, and God knows what else. It'd be disturbing scenes by a Premier League player, but it was fun while it lasted.
Yeah. Absolutely. No, thank you very much, Warren. We massively appreciate you coming on. Absolutely class.
Pleasure.
Pleasure. Thank you so much for your time. Yeah,
We'd
No,
love to
no,
have
as
you
I
on
said,
again
it's,
at some point, but no, that's absolutely brilliant. Thank you.
No, absolute pleasure. I know it's tough times for everybody. I've got people back in England, my family, and my wife's family, and that. So I know it's all locked down, and but we'll get through it. Hopefully, we're the same over here. We've had a lot going on. It's been tough times, but I think one thing with this, it realises how we miss the fans. As much as the games are going on, it's still a big loss with the fans. So people like yourself and everyone else that does these, to reminisce a little bit about the game and how it was and what we're doing. It means a lot to the players as well. It's not just a one-way thing.
That's great to hear. Thank you.
Warren.
Thank you very much.
All right, fellas.
Cheers, Warren. Thank you very much again,
Have a
mate.
great afternoon.
So,
Enjoy the rain.
Enjoy the
rain. I'm going down the beach.
Cheers, mate. Thank you. What a guest Warren was. What a funny guy. And we'd love to have him back on maybe in the new year. So let's get on to our last week's score predictions because we're very good at it. So, Josh, let's start with you. You had Derby to win against Barnsley. That went terribly. We lost 2-0.
yes. Well, you were not losing when I kept saying you were going to lose. So I thought you might win, and you lost. I don't know. I'm not very good at predicting. I think
out of the 7 weeks we've been doing it now, you've got 8 points, and you get 2 points for getting the correct result, and then the actual correct scoreline is 5 points. So you've had 8. There's nearly been more weeks than points that you've got.
This is a guy who puts on at least one acca a weekend.
You don't know why you're on podcast, to be honest. You don't know how to bat.
don't know about yeah, I predict that they won't play this week.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. International break.
Get in.
I'll give you 5 points for that.
I don't know about the match. I didn't watch it or anything other than Derby aren't going down.
Absolutely. They will be if they don't sort manager out. Luke, you had them to win 2-0, the same as me.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know much about Barnsley, and this isn't meant to sound offensive towards them.
Please do.
Well, they're a bit of a middling team at best. They're a relegation fighter in that league, I would have said. You were at home. You just got off. Was it the Bournemouth game before this?
Yeah.
So you just got off a reasonable result, and I thought, surely you'll win. Did not expect you to lose 2-0. I can't believe the guy's not been sacked.
It's unreal.
I can only assume. I mean, we were saying this 4 weeks ago that he should have gone. You've lost almost every game since. I think clearly finances must be an issue in terms of sacking him. That's only a conclusion I can come to.
Well, I don't know if you've seen Derby amongst nearly getting taken over by, the people who were supposed to be buying out Newcastle before Newcastle put it up another £10 million because he's not greedy one bit. But they're looking to be buying out Derby, and it's been approved by the EFL. It's literally just going through apparently paperwork. But I've said to you before about the Burnley one, you don't believe out until it's signed and it's done and over the line. So, I mean, maybe they're just thinking, Mel's probably going, I'm not going to put my money into sacking him when, if this new owner comes in, they're probably going to do it for him anyway and pay that money. But
probably the case. That's what Burnley's reason for not signing anyone was. Well, apart from Dale.
Big day.
Yeah.
But yeah, so maybe they're just waiting on that. I had obviously Derby to win 2-0. It's embarrassing that they're losing to teams like Barnsley, who should have got relegated last year, only due to Wigan not getting points deducted and going down, sadly. So, in other words, we lost to a League One team.
Bit harsh.
Oh,
That.
why is it?
Oh, with due respect, them they took the piss out of you.
Well, yeah, we lost 2-0.
You've got no right to see Barnsley as beneath you when next season you'll be having games against. Who the fuck is even in League One?
The same as Burnley, they'll be playing Barnsley though, won't they? So.
Possibly, it's possible, very possible.
But right, we'll move on to Brighton Burnley, which was a draw. Luke, you had that one at 1-1.
Yeah, it weren't a good game. That's it was the type of game that if someone had paid £15 for, they might feel pretty bad about it.
How do you feel?
I can't remember if I did. Was it free or not? I don't even remember. I think it was
free.
Are you sure? Must have paid for it. I just couldn't be arsed looking for a stream.
Yeah.
Anyway, you don't need to know about that. What did I think of the game? We just sort of dicked about a bit, and Ben Mee made a massive difference. He were excellent. He was the best player on pitch. Everything we've been missing at the back, without a doubt, ties the whole team up. There, anyway, the problem was everything ahead of the defence. Did not look like we'd have scored a goal in a month of Sundays. Ashley Barnes doesn't look the same player since he's come. He's been out for a year. He's come back, and he just doesn't seem to have the ability for this league anymore. Really, some people would say it's debatable whether he ever did, but he made up for that with his kind of canniness, his Kevin Davis type play.
Yeah,
but he needs dropping. Nothing against him. I love him to bits, but needs to get J-Rod back in alongside Wood, which did so well for us second half of last season. And yeah, hopefully Ben Mee coming back. We've had 2 clean sheets in 3 now. Hopefully we can start to build a solid foundation and get some points.
We got 2 points for getting the draw. I also had 2 points Everton against Man United, which Man U did win. Josh, you had them to lose 2-0.
Yeah.
Not even backing Ollie at the wheel.
No, we did as last predictions on the night that we lost to Istanbul. So I weren't in
right frame of mind.
Yeah, I weren't fancying United. I thought it were going to be Ollie's last game, but we were really good. Thoroughly deserved to win. Bruno were fantastic. Maguire were really good. Especially when we went 1-0 down, they just seemed to sort of knuckle down and really fight for Ollie. I don't know, but the problem is consistency. We know United can be good. We saw it at back end of last season. Why can't we do it all the time? We've seen it in glimpses this season, beating Leipzig 5-0, beating PSG in Paris, but it's just a lack of consistency. It's you're not going to win anything when you can put in performances like Spurs at home losing 6-1 and losing away to Istanbul. You're not going to win anything like that. So they really need to sort the consistency out. But I do think in a one-off game, they are good enough players to give anyone a game. So you just never know who's going to turn up.
Yeah. Luke, you also got 2 points for that one. Me and you had the exact same result of 1-0 Man United. What did you make of that game?
Yeah, it was a weird one because I expected Everton to win, but on my bet I put Man United to win, and on the predictions there I put Man United to win. But in my head I thought Everton would win. Very odd, really.
Yeah.
But yeah, they played well. You know, Everton have come unstuck a bit recently. Man United turned up, which they can do when they're on the fall. Exactly like Josh said, they're a great side. But the problem is they don't show it often enough, and that's down to one thing. If you've got a great side but they're inconsistent and they don't show up all the time, that's the manager, because it's the players have the ability, and they've not been managed well enough, I don't think, over the last 2 years.
Yeah, I do think that lets them down sort of tactically and stuff. You see, it sometimes just looks like they've sort of just been told to go out and play rather than have a way of playing or whatever. I've said before, I'd love Ollie to succeed, but I don't think he's good enough.
So for our week's total, I've got 2 points, and that's moved me from 31 to 33. Josh stayed the same, stayed on 8 points. And Luke getting 4 points, taking him from 11 to 15. We won't be doing this week's prediction week being international break, so we will be back the week after.
Right, okay, that's it for this week. Make sure you join us next week when we'll be chatting with a man who made over 450 league appearances, scored over 100 goals, Steve Guinan. Goodbye.
Pie and a pint. Pie and a pint. Pie and a pint.